Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Greenland 2 Migration, opening with $8.4 million this weekend domestically and $8.6 million this weekend worldwide. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from this movie, but I had a feeling because it's the first weekend of the year and it was one of the first new movies of the year. You know, Gerard Butler has been making a name for these types of movies so early in the year. I thought maybe there would be more of an interest. It is a sequel, and I do know that the first one did find some popularity during the pandemic, but again, you know, let me reiterate, it found its popularity during the pandemic, and I think that because they took so long to get this thing off the ground and get it into theaters really hurt it. I think had this gotten out a lot sooner, a lot quicker, you know, maybe more people would have rushed out to go and see it with it still fresh in their mind. But clearly this is not a Den of Thieves 2. This is not an Accountant 2. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough interest clamoring to see these characters, to see another one of these movies. Unfortunately, while it's not going to be a loss for Lionsgate because they only bought the distribution rights for $10 million, this is still going to be a big flop regardless, as the movie costed $90 million to make. I can't imagine it gets half of that unless, you know, this really takes off internationally, and even that's saying a lot. Yeah, this is a really bad start for this movie. I can't imagine it going higher than where it is right now, especially with the reception. Reviews were really mixed. Last I checked, it was at 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences are also kind of split on the movie as well. It got a B- on CinemaScore, which is not great for an action disaster movie like this. Yeah, just a rough start for Greenland 2. Number 4 was Zootopia 2, making $10 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $378 million and its worldwide total to $1.6 billion. So yes, Zootopia took a much bigger hit than it has recently. It felt the holidays coming to an end this weekend, but even with that, it still managed to have a reasonable hold, especially considering, you know, the holiday rush is over. Families are not going to the movies as much as they previously did, and especially considering the other two animated movies are still outside of the top 5. This still remains to be the big animated movie to see right now, and said drop is still a pretty respectable hold, just falling 48% prior to the weekend before. This is a really strong hold given the circumstances, and it is on its way to surpassing Frozen to become the fourth biggest Disney animated film ever, as well as the $400 million milestone. I'm sure it's going to do that very soon, maybe in the next couple weeks. Again, this is the big animated movie to see right now. No other big animated movies until next month. The word of mouth is still going strong, and it continues to pull in some very impressive numbers. So with the holiday rush coming to an end, it does not spell the end of Zootopia's mighty successful run. Number 3 was The Housemaid, making $10.9 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $93 million and its worldwide total to $192 million. The Housemaid, man, continues to be the breakout surprise hit of the holiday season. My goodness, it didn't really feel the end of the holidays at all. It only fell 28% from last weekend, the best holdout of any of the holdovers in the top 5. Really impressive, astonishing stuff to see with this movie prevailing in terms of hold. You know, I mean, other movies are making way more money, but just the fact that the movie has stuck around this long and continues to maintain these strong holds even without the holiday boost is really impressive, and certainly Lionsgate is happy looking at these numbers, so much so that we are getting a sequel. The talks are talking at Lionsgate, and Sydney Sweeney and I believe Paul Feig are expected to return, so be on the lookout for the next Housemaid film in the next couple years, especially with how well this movie is done. Again, just really better than I expected it to do. Again, if this was like the final total, it would already be stunning, but again, we're still pretty early in its run, and it's still going this strong again, just really strong word of mouth. Lots of people still eager to go check this out. Truly the big surprise of the holiday season for sure. Number 2 was Primate, opening with $11 million this weekend domestically and $13 million worldwide. Let's just get these out of the way. Yes, this is already the biggest opening of the year, topping obviously Greenland 2, and right now it is the biggest opening for a horror film this year. No surprises with those superlatives, those awards, but I think what many people were surprised by is how much it actually made. This isn't like a Sinners or a Weapons, but I definitely think a lot of people were a bit unexpectedly surprised by how better this did. I saw a lot of people putting their money on Greenland 2, which is fair, but I always had a feeling that Primate would eke it out. Just again, horror has just been really successful thus far, and the concept of this is really eye-catching. It's very simple, but I think it piqued a lot of people's interest. A rabid chimp goes on a killing spree when the parents are away, and the teens have to find a way to survive, pretty much. So I think that really helped it out, and the marketing was pretty solid. It also helped that there wasn't a big horror film since Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And yeah, I just think, curiosity piqued people's interest, and they wanted to go check it out. And fortunately, like most horror movies, it didn't cost that much to make. It's said to be around $21 to $24 million, and considering how much is made, that's a pretty solid start. So hopefully it can leg out. Hopefully it can continue to be a little January surprise. It's gonna be tough because there is a lot of competition. We got a big horror movie coming out this weekend, and then a couple weeks from now we got another big horror movie from Sam Raimi. So it's gonna have to put up a good fight this month for sure. And also the reception. While critics enjoyed it, they liked it. It was at like 77 last I checked on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences seem to be a bit more split on this one. It got a B- on CinemaScore, which, given the type of movie this is, and especially given that it's a horror film, that's not too shabby. I think many people were just surprised at how violent and gory it was, but still, compared to some other horror movies that are as violent like this, Cocaine Bear or even Thanksgiving, I wouldn't put it against this movie. But yeah, definitely gonna be interesting to see if it'll be able to continue to surprise, hold as well as it should, given the reception. But hey, as far as its opening, it's off to a pretty good start. Nothing amazing, but certainly better than I think a lot of people expected. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was, for the 4th week in a row, Avatar: Fire and Ash, making $21 million this weekend. It brings its domestic total to $342 million, and its worldwide total to $1.2 billion. So the holidays are officially over, which means Avatar pretty much has no excuses at this point. Nothing really else to help it out. Really, it's on its own right now. And while I still think it's going to continue to prevail because it is, January, there isn't much out that compares to this movie, it is still going to be interesting to see how this can catch up to the other movies, even though it seems really likely that it's not. There's going to be a considerable decrease from the second one and this one. I mean, it's falling behind Zootopia right now. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it does throughout the rest of its theatrical run, as the hype was there. It was there for a while, but I've noticed that the chatter and the hype has died down a bit. I'm not seeing too many people as eager as they were to see this as I was like a couple weeks ago, like around Christmas or New Year's. The hype does seem to have slowed down. I think we're headed to the point where people are going to be like rewatching and telling everybody go check it out time and time again. Again, it's still gonna make a lot of money, certainly more than other movies, but certainly gonna be the lowest grossing in the franchise. Which, I mean, look, if the lowest grossing movie in the franchise is at $1.2 billion, that is nothing to sneeze at. But when Avatar: The Way of Water was at this point, it just showed no signs of stopping. It seemed like it was going to be unstoppable. Here, I feel like we're headed for the slowdown period. We may see it back at the top every now and again, maybe. Again, it is January, but I have a feeling we're gonna really start seeing it slow down a bit. It'll crack 400 million domestically, 1.4 billion worldwide, but the $500 million milestone domestically just looks really unlikely right now, and I doubt it reaches Zootopia 2's number. It will probably get close, but no cigar. Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see where it goes from here, but I have a feeling we're going to start seeing slow down pretty soon. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies in theaters. And this weekend we have one new major wide release, that film being 28 years later, The Bone Temple. That's right, not even a year after the last movie, we're already getting the follow-up or spin-off, continuation, however you name it, of 28 years later. And I think this is gonna really get things moving a bit, not to the extent of like a blockbuster or anything, but certainly we're gonna get like our first like solid opening of the year here. Again, horror has just been thriving. I mean, the Killer Chimp movie this weekend brought in some strong crowds. I can't see the follow-up to 28 years later not doing the same. The marketing has been really solid as well. I've been seeing a lot of promos for it, and the buzz does seem to be there despite the reception for the last film with audiences not being on par with like some other horror movies, but it does seem like people want to see it. And again, it's really early in the year. Nothing else is really eye-catching, eye-grabbing out right now, apart from like some of the holdovers really. And also it is MLK weekend, so it is a holiday weekend. I'm sure some people want to celebrate the holiday by seeing this twisted, demented horror movie. Yeah, again, I think this is gonna have a nice solid enough opening, nothing to the extent of like record breaking or like whoa like blockbuster numbers here, but certainly a strong enough start to get things moving for the month. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the result? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.